All right. So tonight I want to try something a little different. A lot of wildfire presentations focus on checklists and codes and requirements, and those things matter. But tonight is really about understanding how wildfire behaves. Because when people begin to understand how fire actually spreads and how homes ignite, preparedness starts to make more sense. So the goal tonight is simple, to help you start seeing your home the way fire would. This presentation is not about passing an inspection, and it's not about perfection, and it's definitely not about telling people they've failed because they still have bark mulch somewhere. This is about understanding pathways. Fire behaves predictably in many ways. It looks for fuel, heat, openings, and opportunities. So instead of thinking, what am I required to do? I want people thinking, if fire reached my property, where would it go first? Fire moves step by step. It doesn't usually leap around randomly from nowhere and instantly destroy your whole entire house. It spreads from one burnable object to another: vegetation to a fence, fence to siding, siding to eaves, eaves into the attic. What's important in these photos is that these homes were not complete losses. Researchers studied surviving homes because they help us understand vulnerabilities. And you can actually see where vegetation ignited the eaves and where firefighters interrupted the progression. And that's an important idea. Sometimes the difference between a surviving home and a destroyed home is surprisingly small. These examples here show how fire exploits connections. You see the top image there. It shows vegetation near a window, creating enough heat to break glass. And then once that window fails, the fire suddenly has access to the inside of the home. And the bottom left image is one of my favorites. It's because it shows something really simple. You can see the metal gate interrupted the fire pathway. You can see the fire traveled along the fence, but stopped at the metal section. And that's the whole concept of this presentation, interrupting pathways. So I'm going to show a quick little video here of a home hardening demonstration. You'll see that they ignite the burnable areas in the front here. And the only difference between these two is there's the zone 0 clearance there on the right-hand side. So you can see there how big of a difference just having that zone 0 clearance was.
Try again.
Um,
Try again. Good job.
Uh-oh.
Malta, please try again. Please try again.
oh, if people can please mute, I'd appreciate that. Thank you. Um, so this test is helpful because it visually demonstrates how small changes matter. The important thing isn't memorizing every construction detail. It's understanding that fire needs continuity. So if we interrupt fuel continuity with clearance and non-combustible materials or hardened components, we reduce the chance of fire transitioning into the structure. This is probably the most important idea I'll share tonight, and it's the one most people haven't thought about, or maybe they have. When we picture wildfire, we picture flames moving through vegetation, through hills, through open space, toward our homes, and that can absolutely happen. But what we've learned from recent California fires, the Camp Fire, the Tubbs Fire, the Palisades, is that once fire enters a neighborhood, something shifts. It stops being a vegetation fire and it becomes a neighborhood fire. One house ignites the next, that house ignites the next. The fire doesn't need the wildland anymore. It's found a new fuel source, and that fuel source is us. So I want you to try something. Close your eyes for a second if you're comfortable, and just imagine you've evacuated. Your family is safe, and the main fire front has already passed your street. Now, I want you to picture your neighborhood. The house next door is burning. Heat is radiating against your windows. Embers are landing on your roof and collecting in your gutters. Burning debris is drifting into your yard. Would your home last another hour? That's the real question. Not whether wildfire will come, not whether firefighters will be there, because during a major event, they may not be able to get to you. The question is whether your home can hold on long enough. And I want to be clear, this isn't about blaming your neighbors. Their house may have ignited from the house on the other side of them, and the fire moves through a neighborhood exactly the way it moves through a forest, from one fuel source to the next, following the wind. That's why what you do to your property really matters beyond your property line. Fire sees a neighborhood, not individual lots. And that's exactly how we need to think about making it more resilient. So there are really three major ways homes ignite. The first and most important is embers, tiny burning pieces of material that travel ahead of the fire. Embers can travel over 4 miles. People often imagine giant flames like coming through the forest, but embers are actually the leading cause of home ignition. And second is radiant heat. Heat alone can break windows or ignite materials without direct flame contact. And the third is direct flame contact. So what matters is that fire usually starts small. It's a pile of leaves, a vent, a fence, mulch against siding. Windows are one of the weaker points on many homes during wildfire exposure. Regular glass breaks much earlier than tempered glass, and vinyl frames around the windows can deform or melt from heat exposure, as you can see there in the middle. And once that window system fails, the inside of the house becomes vulnerable to ember intrusion. One reason double pane tempered windows perform better is because both panes must fail before fire enters. So again, we're buying time, and time matters during wildfire. This slide is not meant to overwhelm anyone. And it's definitely not saying everyone needs to rebuild their home tomorrow. This is really just about awareness. Most homes built before Chapter 7A simply weren't designed with wildfire exposure in mind, which is what Chapter 7A was for. The encouraging part is many vulnerabilities can be improved gradually over time. So maybe it's replacing vents first, and maybe it's improving zone 0. Maybe it's changing fencing attachments later. Preparedness is a process. This is a great example of understanding fire pathways. This is actually a resident's home in Ladera who just recently boxed in his eaves. So open eaves allow heat and flame to collect underneath the roof overhang. And then once fire gets into that space, it can spread into the structure. Boxed eaves, obviously, they help block that intrusion. Again, it's not about making a home fireproof. It's about reducing opportunities. Okay, so one thing I want everybody to understand is that none of this information is based on guesses anymore. Researchers have an enormous amount of data from Rio, California wildfires. UC Berkeley and partner organizations studied nearly 47,000 damaged or destroyed structures, and the IBHS studied more than 30,000 structures from the Palisades and Eaton fires. So that's tens of thousands of homes. What's especially valuable is that many of those homes already had been inspected before the fire. Researchers could compare what the property looked like before the fire with what happened during the fire. And that's how we're learning which mitigation efforts actually make a measurable difference. And what keeps showing up isn't necessarily expensive projects. Often it's the smaller details, the things people don't think about. Leaves in a gutter, a vent opening, a fence attached to the house, vegetation growing against a wall. These small details often become opportunities for ignition. This is also where I like to mention our defensible space assessments. A lot of residents think we're coming out with like a clipboard looking for violations, and that's really not what happens. We're walking the property with you. We're looking at pathways. We're helping prioritize projects. We're not trying to make you clear cut your property. We're explaining why certain things matter. And often we're helping homeowners decide where to spend their effort first because most people don't have unlimited time or unlimited budgets, obviously. One of the major findings from this research is something many people don't love hearing, and it's the spacing between homes really matters. In dense communities, fire can move structure to structure very efficiently. Now, obviously, most people can't move their house farther away from their neighbor, but that's exactly why reducing vulnerabilities around the structure becomes even more important. The research used machine learning to analyze which mitigation factors are actually controllable. And that's where the message becomes empowering. We focus on what we can control. This chart is one of my favorites because it answers a question I hear all the time, like, what should I do first? Let's start with what the chart isn't saying. It's not saying any single action guarantees that your home survives. Wildfire doesn't work that way. But look at what happens as layers are added. Home hardening helps. Zone 0 helps. Zone 1 helps. Each layer reduces opportunity. Each layer removes another pathway. Together, those layers begin shifting the odds. Also, I think it's important to make this local. Many homes in, for example, Ladera were built before Chapter 7A. Many have wood fencing, many have bark mulch, many have mature landscaping. That doesn't mean those homes are doomed. It simply means there are opportunities to improve survivability. And that's the mindset that I really hope people leave with tonight. It's not fear, not guilt, not perfection, just opportunities. Because opportunities are what fire looks for, and opportunities are what we can remove. This is really the mindset shift I hope people take away tonight. So throughout this presentation, we've talked about pathways and vulnerabilities and opportunities, but I want to simplify it even further. If you were fire, where would you go? You wouldn't be looking for the hardest path. You'd be looking for the easiest one. Dry vegetation, leaves and gutters, open vents, a wood fence attached to a home, or mulch against siding, or as you can see there, a garage door that doesn't seal completely. Fire isn't strategic, it's opportunistic. It follows fuel. Let's see, it finds openings. It just takes like the path of least resistance. And what we've learned from studying recent wildfires is that opportunities fire finds are often surprisingly small. So as we move into the last few slides here, let's stop thinking like homeowners for a moment. Let's think like fire. So what does that actually look like around a home? Let's take a walk around a typical house. Let's start at the front door and look down. What's within 5 feet? Maybe it's a doormat. Most doormats are combustible. Maybe it's a potted plant. Those can dry out and become fuel. Maybe it's a wooden planter box built against the foundation. Now walk along the side of the house. Do you have bark mulch? Bark mulch is one of the most common things we see during assessments. People use it because it looks attractive, and it does, but embers can ignite it right next to the structure. What about a wood fence attached directly to the home? That fence can become a pathway that carries fire right to the siding or eaves. Now look up. Do branches overhang the roof? Touch the siding? Do they provide a connection between vegetation and the structure? This is what Zone Zero is really about. It's not about creating a barren landscape. It's not making your property unattractive. It's about removing opportunities in the 5 feet closest to your home. And the good news is you don't have to do it all at once. You can do one side of the house, one project, one season. That's how most successful Zone Zero projects happen. Wildfires look for vulnerabilities and take advantage of them. This chart here, it shows the probability of surviving without damage as you add layers of hardening. So non-combustible siding plus a Class A roof gets you to about 35%. And if you add double pane windows, probability climbs further. And add enclosed eaves on top of that, you're approaching 45 to 50%. So each layer you add increases the probability that your home survives. So start with mitigation steps that address your biggest risk, that fit your budget and match your vision for your property. But make sure you consider all available options and why they matter. Because reducing wildfire risk, honestly, is just an ongoing process. I mean, we're going to be doing it every year for the entire time that you live in this community. Each year you just want to take another step, whether that's like clearing vegetation, improving your defensible space, or hardening your home. And we also understand this when we're doing a defensible space assessments is, we don't expect you to get the work done immediately. We just want to see that you're making progress. So we'll say you need to complete these in a year, and say in a year you only got to handle a few of them. That's fine. We want to work with you. We're not going to go out and penalize you if we see that you're actually doing work. So, and when many homes in a neighborhood improve together, the entire community becomes more resistant to wildfire spread. Okay, at the end of the day, wildfire doesn't need perfect conditions. It just needs an opportunity. And what we continue to see, fire after fire, is that many of those opportunities exist right next to the home itself. Pamela Foster, who's a Ladera resident and block captain, she put it very simply. Protecting our home meant rethinking what beautiful looks like. And I love that framing because it's not about sacrifice. It's not about making your property look like a parking lot. It's about being intentional and knowing why you're making the choices you're making around your home. So walk around your property this week, talk with your family about what you saw tonight, and then choose one thing, just one. Because if every person in this room on this Zoom call removes one opportunity before fire spreads, fire finds it first, this neighborhood is going to be more resilient on Monday than it is today. I just want to say thank you and give you two things before we go on to any possible questions here. First, if you'd like a free defensible space assessment for your property, scan that QR code on the screen and reach out. You can schedule it directly online. Woodside Fire, that's us directly. We come to your home, we'll walk your property with you, and we show you specifically what we see. It's extremely thorough, and we help make the best plan that's for you. A lot of it is recommendations and not requirements. And that's a thing people are usually concerned about is like, oh, there's so many requirements. Yes, we have requirements, but most of the stuff are going to be recommendations. And it could be one of the most valuable things you can do. Second, on June 26th at 5 p.m., we have a Zoom presentation on there. And this is going to be like the part two to this presentation. Terry and Carol Walters have done some extensive home hardening and defensible space work. And he's going to be giving a presentation on exactly what he did to give you guys an idea of what you could potentially do. Also, let me just stop my share here. I'm going to put into the chat a ton of resource links for you all. Just copy and paste those, please, because there are so many good resources there, as well too on our fire district website that you guys can check out later when you have time. But with that, I just want to again say thank you for participating by jumping on this today. This is being recorded, so after the fact, if you want to share the video or review it again, it'll be on our YouTube page. We'll put it on our website as well as the WPV-Ready website, which I encourage everybody to go to too if they're looking to get prepared for disasters and emergencies. I'm going to put that website in the chat. Do you have questions from anybody? Wow. Hopefully that's a good sign on here. Thanks again. I really appreciate this.
At the light, use the
if anybody would like to reach out to me specifically, I will put my email in the chat as well, and I'll leave it up for people to write down if they want. My office is also across from the Portola Valley Town Center, so if you're ever around the area and want to stop by and say hi, we're all there. But other than that, I just want to say thank you for being here and hope to see you on next month's Zoom.
Thanks, Selena. You're great.
Thank you, Corinne. Okay. All right. I'm going to end this now, I guess, since there are no more questions, and hopefully everybody got those links in there. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Selena. Take care.
Bye.